Hello and welcome to Clusters. Last time we were looking at Acts chapter 4, which ended with a description of the very earliest Christian community. Luke gave the example of a man named Joseph and his remarkable generosity in selling a piece of land and giving all the money to the church. Now in chapter 5 we have the story of Ananias and Sapphira, who do much the same thing as Joseph, except they keep some of the money from the property sale for themselves. Now, there's nothing wrong in that in itself. But there is a major problem, which becomes clear in verse 8. The judgment of God falls on them, and they both collapse and die in an instant. What's the difference between these two cases, do you think? And why is God's judgment on them so severe? But remember, one thing we can rely on is that God's justice is perfect. Luke then moves on to another montage passage describing the miracles the apostles were performing. In this case, they're in Solomon's colonnade, a part of the temple in Jerusalem, hardly inconspicuous. And as a result, more and more people are joining the fledgling faith. We rarely seem to see genuine supernatural miracles these days, but remember, God was establishing his church, and in the absence of the New Testament, these miracles demonstrated the truth of what the apostles were preaching. However, all these wonders draw attention to the apostles, and not the good kind. All of them are arrested on the orders of the Sadducees and put into the local prison. And yet, because they were faithful, in the middle of the night, an angel comes and opens the door for them. They're free, but where do they go? Home? Into hiding? Abroad? Of course not. They go to the temple courts and start preaching again. And so they're rounded up and brought back before the Sanhedrin. They're concerned that the apostles are still preaching in Jesus' name, and that they're still trying to blame them for his death. But just who is responsible for Jesus' death? Surely it's all of us. Jesus came to die for sinners, and we've all sinned. So we're all responsible. Some want the apostles executed, but a member of the council named Gamaliel, a rabbi who we later discover the apostle Paul had studied under, makes an intervention at this point. He suggests that if the council just left these men alone, then the truth of what they say would be proven one way or the other. Either the whole movement would fail, as previous ones had, or if it was a genuine move of God, trying to stop it would simply make him their enemy. Was he right? What do you think? Nonetheless, the apostles were flogged before being released. But then, what do you make of their reaction? They leave rejoicing. You might want to discuss whether your reaction would be the same, and if not, why not? The third Passion for Life training session will be next week, so the next cluster will be in 2 weeks and we'll focus on Acts chapter 6. So until then, have a great cluster.